The lecture this evening is on the power of breath, and it's something that I've been practicing as a muscle therapist for almost 10 years now. But I was so surprised. August of '08, I graduated, and since then, I've really come to find that a lot of our structural issues that we seem to have, our necks, our backs, even arms, hands, a lot of that stems from one thing, and I feel like that's the way we breathe. And so let's just breathe for a moment. Everyone, just take a deep breath. I see a lot of shoulders lifting. I see a lot of coming out. When you look at the pictures online, you see people like this, and they're lifting up this way, they're opening, but that's not actually the best way to breathe because you're only using this area. Why do we do that? Why only use this upper part of our lungs? What do we do? I mean, we come into this world breathing naturally, opening up our whole body, using the entire part of our bottom part of our lung as well. When does that change? They've done some studies where they found that actually around the age of 6 to 8 is when we start learning bad habits. Why? What are we doing around the age of 6? This is what I've discovered. Going to school, sitting, listening, realizing that you can actually be bored. Like, we start to fall down whenever around that age where we drop so that we can't use this area of our lung. We're only able to use this. I mean, you notice that when you kind of sit, you can't open up. You can't actually use that part. What are some other things? What other things kind of take our breath away? Fear. The fear of failure. Again, talking about school, you're getting red marks on the paper. I've noticed that with my daughters lately, like when they brought home their homework and it has like a big F on it, she's in 3rd grade. Why is there a red mark? Well, she's not the one. Like, I see red marks and I'm going, for me, I go, that's bad. And it pulls my breath away. But again, where does that come from? It comes from here. You go, you see something scary. Again, that breath is here. It's not down here. And so again, this area is not being used. It's not being utilized. What are some other things? One of the things I think about is the lack of control. There's a lot of stressors in our lives. Things outside that we have no control over. There's nothing we can do about negative things that people say, or things people do to us, or things we see on TV. There's things that we cannot control. And so we find ways to control things within us. So we slow down our breathing. We hold on to it. We try to keep from breathing as much because we can. We can slow down that breath. All of that affects this. It makes this almost go to sleep. This becomes like a treasure chest that we've buried. And so it's learning how to open up and make this wake up, dust it off. Use those lungs. Actually learn how to breathe. And they just finished this study. It was really, really cool, where they talked about if we're not breathing correctly, then that means we're not getting usable oxygen, which is O2. If we don't have usable oxygen, then this is what it's been linked to, cardiovascular disease. We're looking at neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. If you're not getting oxygen, then you're not getting enough oxygen. You're not going to have enough for your brain. The only thing your body is looking to do is survive. And so all of the things just for survival are going to get that oxygen first. So you're not worried about stretching. You're not worried about your muscles. You're not worried about digestion. You're worried about living. We need that oxygen. Again, you need to learn how to breathe. What is breathing? Breathing is ventilation. Ventilation means the air coming into the body and going out of the body. That's so it's going to go first through your filters, which is the mouth and the nose. That's what, we have all of that wet mucosal lining around our nose and our mouth. All of that is to help trap any of the debris, anything our body doesn't really need. It's supposed to get trapped in that area. And then whenever the air comes down, we're going to go down into the lungs. But for it to actually come into the lungs, we have our best friend here, our diaphragm. The diaphragm is going to drop whenever it contracts, which is strange because usually with a muscle, when it contracts, it comes up. So the diaphragm itself is an interesting muscle. And so it's going to drop down. When it drops down, it opens up the amount of space that surrounds the lungs. That causes a decrease in pressure. If you decrease the amount of pressure, it forces the air into the mouth and then down into the lungs. Whenever that diaphragm relaxes, it comes back up, again, pushing on those lungs, which pushes the air out. What's happening, though, is whenever the air comes in with that increase in pressure, all of these little bronchioles, it comes down, all of these, they start out fairly big and then they divide. They drop smaller and smaller and smaller, and at the end of each one is a little sac. That sac is where respiration happens, and that's where the transfer from the blood and oxygen meet. That's where you get that O2, CO2 change. That's really, really, really important. And that occurs most often, as you can kind of see, all of the little tiny pieces of the bronchioles is mostly in this lower part of the lung. And so we still have quite a bit of that, that exchange in the upper part, but not nearly as much as the bottom of the lung. When they've also counted that there's about 30 or 300 million of these little sacs, these are called alveoli, in the lung. And that comes out to being about 27 square feet by 27 square feet of surface area. That's about the size of a tennis court. In the lung to help us to supply enough oxygen. That's amazing. I think this is like one of the greatest inventions ever. It's something that not only is efficient because it's something you can do automatically, but it's something that affects the entire body. So, tennis court. Talking about that respiration. So the oxygen, whenever we actually get the oxygen, we need it so that it'll can go into our mitochondria. So the body needs oxygen to metabolize food, which means that it needs the oxygen to release the sugars and to convert it into energy. That happens inside of the mitochondria. You have to get the oxygen into the cell. So you have to have O2, but you have to have enough of it so that it can make enough energy to supply it for all of the parts of the body, not just survival. And so if we have more oxygen, then we'll have more energy, which means we'll have more cell division. That means that our bodies will be able to be healthier. So we don't have to worry about the cardiovascular diseases as much. We don't have to worry about Alzheimer's because we'll have more oxygen, we'll have more water. Our bodies can figure out how to heal themselves. We're gonna go, okay, so now talking about that diaphragm. I think this is really cool, okay? So the diaphragm is right here, right between where the lungs are and the lower part of the abdomen, where all of the digestive system is, all of your organs. And then it sits down here, so you have your the pelvic cavity. Whenever that diaphragm drops down, it's going to push on this area. It's going to push on the heart. It's going to push on the thyroid. It's going to push along the spine. So by that diaphragm dropping down and contracting, your entire core opens. Everything shifts. Everything. That's going to come up. It's going to affect the cranials, the entire head, because it's pushing down here. It's going to push through here. Everything moves. If everything's moving, then everything's being affected that it surrounds. So you're massaging the entire body by taking a breath. I just think that's amazing. Like efficiency. Like, again, this is the greatest invention there possibly could have been. And it's made so that everything can work together. We just have to figure out how to make it do what it needs to do again, because we've trained it to do it the wrong way. So it's learning how to open up and take that breath. If we are breathing and we are expanding that entire lung, then we're going to be able to move the stuff around the digestive system. You're going to get increased motion in the digestion. You're going to get increased blood flow. You're going to get increased range of motion. If you can do that, then it causes the body to go into a parasympathetic state or a state of relaxation. You can't digest your food if you're not in a parasympathetic state very well. So you have to be able to relax. And if you're not breathing and you're not giving a little bit of that extra massage to that area by not expanding down here, then you're really decreasing the opportunity to move that food around. Because everything in the digestive system, well, really, again, everything inside the body shifts because of movement. Your blood is pumped because of movement. You have little valves in your legs coming up because of gravity. To get the blood from the bottom of the leg up, you have to move. Breathing is going to affect that. It's going to help move that blood. Even though you're standing or sitting, it's going to affect it. Another interesting fact, though, is that most of your immune system, a huge chunk of your immune system, a lot of lymph nodes, like almost 80% of that is in here. Again, it's in your gut. If you're breathing correctly, again, that's being pushed down, the gut's moving, you're getting that parasympathetic response, and it's helping to increase that immune system. We talked about earlier, you have to be able to break down your food to get that so that the body can absorb the things it needs, and you can only do that again by that O2. Like we were talking about earlier with the mitochondria within the cell, it uses the food to break down. It breaks down the food so that you can absorb the things you need, but it can't do that without that O2. So we have all of the digestive system. Well, then this is everything that's on top of that core. It's all of the muscles of the body. So many things are connected. And so when you take a breath, all of this moves. Again, we're moving the entire system. We're massaging it. Massage only means that you're increasing blood flow, range of motion, and altering, usually there's a slight alteration to your blood pressure and cardiovascular system. So all of that's affected by breathing. Okay, so now we know how important breathing is. It's everything. It's life-sustaining. But it's not always about taking a deep breath. It's just taking the breath correctly. It's amazing. Like, there's so many beautiful muscles. And it's all connected to your core, which is connected to the visceral organs, which is connected to breathing. So every time you expand, everything shifts. It's so cool. So let's go back to the basics. Let's figure out how to take that correct breath. I like to call it the six-sided box. And just think of it, again, like our bodies, this core is a six-sided box. So you have a bottom, you have a top, you have a front, you have a back, you have sides. So we're going to start with just the first part of this, and we're going to do the front and the back. So everyone just put your hands on your belly button. Find your belly button. Okay. I want you to just breathe normal, but I want you to try to push your belly out whenever you breathe in. So when you breathe in, you should expand. Think about it, relax those shoulders, We're not using this. We're not getting into our heads.
Breathe out.
Yeah. Yeah. Breathe in and out, just normal. Just think about pushing that belly out. Do you feel the hands moving? Now, I want you to think about your back. You can get the hand back there. I want you to think about pushing your back out. So when you take the breath in, think about moving this hand. You should feel the bottom kind of, that should shift your pelvis just a little. You should feel it kind of moving down. It is harder, and you have to think about it, because again, we haven't been doing it like this for a long time.
Can I give you a little hint?
Mhm.
You guys stand up,
Oh, yes.
lean over, and put your hands here, then you'll feel it.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is usually want to increase the breath right here.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We'll try it a couple more times, and then we'll stand up.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
flexible.
You don't have to lean. You don't have to do it. You just lean forward just a little. When you feel it, just kind of think about pushing it. Sometimes if you think about just kind of breathing and adding a little bit of pressure. You might have to bring your pelvis in a little bit. So let's try it standing now. Let's see, sometimes it's easier. Just a comfortable, kind of spread your legs out just a little bit, because sometimes it'll make you a little lightheaded. Again, I talked about it being a treasure box, a treasure chest. Those things are dusty whenever you first pull them out, so they're sometimes hard to unlock. We got to dust it off, so sometimes it makes you a little lightheaded. Sometimes you'll get a little sore in areas, so it's kind of. Now try breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. See if that makes a difference with the way you can feel it back there. Try just through the mouth, in and out. For me, I think I feel it more in my back if I breathe in and out through my mouth. That's because whenever you're breathing through the mouth, you have to drop your jaw. If you drop your jaw, that's going to affect down here in your pelvis. There's some cool neurological links. But so if you drop there, you can almost feel it more through the jaw. Do you notice a difference with any of the mucosal, I'm such a nerd, mucosal lining in your mouth? Have you noticed, have you noticed at all that it's a little bit wetter? That you're starting to feel it? That's, again, that's that parasympathetic response. That's telling your body that, hey, it's time to digest. So that's a really good thing. So let's start cleaning off our treasure chest. So now I want you, again, thinking about taking that breath. Again, we're just doing a natural breath. We're not expanding. We're not breathing in hard. We're not breathing in, like we're not forcing anything right now. We're just becoming more aware of where our lungs are. So with that breath, I want you to start up here. We're going to just warm up, again, along this line. So we're going to just take our hands. You're just going to kind of pull away from midline, like this. And so we're going to take a breath in, thinking here, even though your hands are going to be here. Don't think about breathing in this way. So breathe in, and then just kind of pull back. Like if you want it to get warm, it'll be like a bit of friction. Kind of come down, all the way down to the bottom of your rib cage. So kind of rub, yep, up through there. Come back up, breathe in, and out. I'm making loud noises so you can hear, but you don't have to. Whenever you start to feel it, it'll start to get warm. You feel it kind of getting warm. Whenever it starts to get warm, that lets us know that we're getting extra blood flow there. It's waking up. Okay, so now I want you to, now that it's warmed up, you feel it. It might be really tender for some people. And again, that's because it's not used to moving. It's not used to having a lot of blood flow through that area. And so that's one of the big things about this. All right, so now take a breath. Again, we're just taking a natural breath. But you're going to breathe in. You're going to find one side you're going to contact. You're just going to add a little bit of pressure, comfortable pressure, all right? Whenever you let out that breath, when you exhale, I want you to kind of pull down and around, because that diaphragm, remember, whenever it's relaxing, it's coming back up. So we're kind of keep pushing it down, trying to keep it from coming all the way back up. So we can clean it out, all right? Breathe in and out. And come down along that rib cage, yeah. Again, this can get warm. It can be fairly tender in some spots. Those are adhesions. That's what we're trying to get rid of. And then you're going to come back up. We're going to take that breath. And then we're going to come in down towards the belly button. So we're going to start here. Pull down. And you come from an angle. The other side. If you're starting to feel like a little lightheaded or anything, just kind of shift the legs, because we're pulling a lot of blood flow, again, to this area, and it's not used to having that much. And so sometimes you can get lightheaded, sometimes your knees can feel a little funny, all right? All right, now I want you to, again, put the hand on the front. Now take a breath. Do you feel any difference? It's almost like you can feel it's looser, but it's almost like you can feel more air coming in, but you're not having to force it in at all. It's just naturally able to have more space. Now think about that low back, and think about pushing it out. That's great. So a cool thing with yawns, whenever you yawn, it really does a jump start to the way that the cranial shift whenever you're breathing. So sometimes if things are stuck through here, whenever your body's kind of wanting to yawn, to open things up, to again, move the spine, get things to shift. Body's so efficient. You don't even have to know.
Now that you said yawn.
Yeah, like yawn. Do you feel how it's easier now to feel it in the back? Yeah. Now again, try breathing in the mouth and out the mouth. Try those different ways. Try in the nose, out the nose. And now we're going to go to the next part of our six-sided box, and that's our sides. We're going to think about pulling out and expanding to the side. So this one, again, you want to contact you have to do it this way, whatever is easiest for you. But putting your hands on the side. Whenever you breathe in, just think of going to the side. So make sure it makes it easier if you drop the shoulders. If you lift the shoulders, and you can't breathe out. You cannot expand out to the sides. So if your shoulders are dropped, you'll feel it right through here. Yeah. So right here. Sometimes it helps if somebody else does it. Stretch your legs. Yep. You feel that? It's a lot easier sometimes if someone has a little pressure. Yep. So I'm just going to step behind you. I'm going to put it right here, and then drop your arms. Yeah, I want you to think about pushing on my hands. Breathe out. Yeah, you feel that? Do it one more time. Oops, don't drop my shoulders. There you go. Don't force it in. All you have to do is think about shifting it, okay? Don't force it in. Just think about everything. There. You feel that? Makes it a little bit easier when someone puts a little pressure. Oh, that's good. Okay. Coming back. We're going to get everybody. There you go. There, you feel that difference? There you go. Do it again. There you go. Yeah. Big breathe. There. You don't have to force it. Yeah. You see that little bit of a difference? When you try to make yourself do it, you can't. It's something that you have to just think of. You just have to think to the side. As soon as you try to push it out, you can't. Because you're wanting to do this. It's not something it's something that's supposed to happen automatic. So as soon as you try to take control of it, it stops. So just breathing out. I got you. You got me? I'm gonna get you. A little bit more.
More, yeah.
Yeah, we'll take another breath. There you go. That was good. All right. So now let's think about that again. We're going to breathe in and out through the mouth, in and out through the nose. See if that makes a difference. You can put the hands up there or you can drop them. Actually, let's just drop them. I think that's going to help. Just think. You can close your eyes if you want and think about your body expanding to the sides. Just breathing naturally, but expanding to the side. You can sit or you can stand when you do it.
You get more air. Like, is there more?
You get more air at one time. You also get a lot more microbes at one time. Because whenever it goes through the nose, it takes longer to get to the lungs, but it has to go through quite a few more areas, and so it can warm up. There's more places for it to catch a lot of bacteria and microbes before it gets down into the lung. And so there's benefits to just breathing through the nose. There's benefits to just breathing through the mouth, and then in through the nose and out through the mouth. There's a lot of people that think one way or the other, and they're pretty determined that that's the way to breathe. I don't think so. It's all about balance, what your body needs when it needs it. All right, so let's see. Let's try to combine that now with the first part, with expanding to the front and the back. If you need to sit down, it's just fine. Because again, that's what we're going to be doing most of the time. So sitting, standing, it's good to learn how to do it both ways. But let's think about, again, now thinking about opening to the front and the back and the sides. Don't force it. It's just think about a box opening. Think about the sides of that box expanding, separating. All right, so now we're going to dust off this area of the body. So we're going to put our arms, we're going to put them up through here along our rib cage. We're going to breathe in. You see how hard it is whenever you're up like this to use this area? Okay, so I want you to breathe in though as best as you can. And on the breathe out, I want you to pull down all the way down to the hips. Come back up. Come a little bit more to the front. Breathe in and out. Pull it down. And now we're going to kind of come to the back as best as you can. Again, I want you to stand up nice and tall when you do this, or sit up nice and tall, all right? So pull it. We don't want any of this. We want to make sure our pelvis is underneath us. Again, that's going to help with the breathing as well. Breathe in and out. And kind of come down, back, and Let's do it again. This time I want you to take your fingertips. Breathe in and down. Come down. Back up. And then you might just have to be able to use your thumbs right now on the side and then come down. And then just breathe normal. Pull it down. And kind of grab a little bit. Now I just want you to take your fingers and your thumb. I want you to grab. I want you to hold it while you take a breath. So just kind of try to grab your waist. If you need to come down a little bit, that's fine. Right at the bottom of the rib cage. You're kind of grabbing the bottom of your rib cage. Breathe in. And just squeeze. Almost like when you breathe out, you're kind of squeezing a very large lemon. I don't know if that helps at all, but now I want you to drop the hands and I want you to think about taking that full breath again. So again, we're looking at breathing in and out, pushing out the 4 sides of our box. So the front, the back, and the sides. Drop the arms, make sure the shoulders are dropped. We want our head on top of our body, not in front of it. So let's think about standing up straight. That'll happen if you bring that pelvis in a little bit. You can feel it a little bit more on the sides, kind of opening up, expanding. All right, so now let's all sit down for this one. We're going to work on the top and bottom. This is the hardest part because, again, we are a 6-sided box. We're looking at the front moving, the back moving, but what happens with that diaphragm? That diaphragm is dropping. If that's dropping, we need to also drop the bottom of our box. And so to do that, again, you can't force it. But whenever you breathe in, think about that diaphragm going down. So think air coming in, and you're pushing down. So the bottom of your box, this area through here, is moving down. And sometimes you have to think about it for a little bit before it actually happens. We'll first sit and do it, and then we'll stand. Just think about the bottom of the box dropping down. This one, it's sometimes easier when you take that breath to hold the breath. To kind of feel it a little bit more down there. Add a little tension. Okay, now stand up and try it. You might take a moment when you first stand, because again, whenever you're doing that one, you might be lightheaded, because you're just putting oxygen in an area that hasn't had it in a while. Okay, we're opening up these areas, those alveoli sacs that have not been used in this lower part of our lung are now just waking up to like a big surprise. And so it's true though. So areas that have not been getting blood. And so until we get a decent amount of blood flow or that positive O2, our body's having to adjust. And so it's pulling blood from other areas still. So as we breathe, it'll get better, okay? But right now, every once in a while, you'll be a little lightheaded. Okay, now stand a decent shoulder width apart with the legs, a nice stable stance. And again, let's think about when you breathe in, that diaphragm's coming down and the bottom of our box is coming down. So it's pushing down. So breathe in. Try again with opening the mouth and breathing in and out through the mouth. See if that makes it easier. See about breathing in and out through the nose. See if that makes it easier. And I feel that breathing in and out through the mouth makes it easiest. But our bodies are all different. Don't force, just let it happen. All you have to do is think about what you're doing with pushing it down. Think about the direction it's going, not about the breath itself. All right, so now let's see about this head part. So the area where our body is so naturally wanting to go, this is the hardest part to change, because we think, oh, breathe in, we're gonna lift the top of our box. That's what we've been doing since we were 6 or 8. But it's making sure that you're not lifting this, you're lifting the top of your core. That's your head. So we're not lifting the shoulders. We're just lifting the head and neck. So again, when you're taking that breath in, think of the head and neck expanding up. Sometimes you have to think about your head. And we did this a lot in theater. And they would talk about just thinking of almost like a puppet, that you had a string connected to you so that whenever you went up, like it was your head and your neck that went up. Your shoulders didn't. And so being pulled up. So kind of thinking about that first and then take your breath. Notice that you feel it almost through your head. You'll feel it kind of through your jaw. You'll feel it through breathing in and out through the nose. You get a lot of motion in these cranials. And so I think that it makes it a little bit easier to lift that upper part, lifting that head and neck whenever you breathe in and out through the nose. But again, it's up to your body, so it might make a difference if you breathe in and out through the mouth as well. You see how your shoulders aren't lifting, but you can feel it in your face? Kind of feel it in your ears? Now let's try to do the top and the bottom together. Your brains are going to be so exhausted after this. All right. So first, think about that string. Think about it pulling up and the bottom coming down. Think about it first so that when you take the breath, you're not forcing it. You're just doing what you see. All right, so now let's massage these, just massage the whole body now. So now that we've kind of warmed up this area, let's all take a seat. Again, gonna take a breath. We know that this core is connected to everything else. Now that we've warmed up, we've opened up some of this, we're going to work on our arms and our legs. So taking a deep breath in, coming up to the shoulder, and take a breath in, and then as you let it out, you're gonna come down the ham. Again, just adding some warm friction. It's not like you're crushing your skin or anything like that. You don't have to, but breathe in. Again, how are we breathing? Breathing down here. And come down, and then come up the back. Go to the other side, breathe in. And come out. Breathe in. And down. And both hands on the leg, breathe in. And down, and just kind of come down. Even just this simple, and breathe in. And down, and come up. And go to the other side. And down, breathe out. There you go. And breathe in. And down. So it's neat. How do you feel? Feels good, doesn't it? And we didn't have to do anything like super intense. Another really cool thing the last thing I want to do, this breath, as we know, affects every part of our body. There's also a part of our body that our electric, the electromagnetic field. And it exists.
There are.
It is there. And that people can call it meridians, acupuncture, but it's there and they can map it. It's really, really cool. Like there's different machines that they can put it on and they can find an entire meridian. That is also affected by breath. I mean, people refer to it as chi, they call it the center, you have chakras, whatever they end up referring to it as, it's there and it's pretty cool. But breathing and doing what we just did is affecting it to a point. And so I want to show you one of my favorite warm-ups. This is one of the things that we did in school quite a bit. And we called it like the 5-minute boost. And so regardless of how your day's going, how you feel, if you ever get to a point where, again, you're trying to control your breath, this simple little massage and breathing just kind of rebalances everything. And so let's all stand up. I have it all written out. So whenever you go on Facebook or on our YouTube site, you'll be able to read through this. Don't worry about it right now. That's a lot to read. So, yeah, go.
There's a test at
There's a
the
test
end.
at the end. I'm gonna just not put it on that one. But so we're gonna start, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna start up here at the top of the head. We're gonna take. So guys, you go. Well, oftentimes the guys will go to the left first. Women, we go to the right first. If you forget, it's not gonna make that big of a difference. But. Huh? All right. So just take a deep breath in and then go down your right arm to the fingertips. And you're going to breathe in and you're going to go up the back to the back of the arm, and then you're going to come down. You're going to go all the way down to the foot. You're going to breathe in and come back up as far as you can get. Yep, to the core. There you go. And then you're going to switch over. Breathe in and down. Go and come back up. Breathe in. The armpit and down the back. Come back up. Breathe in. The top of the head. And now you're going to breathe out and come down your middle. Breathe in. Come up. Yep. And down. And down the front of the arm. Breathe in. And out. 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 And then at this point, you can do it 1 or 2 more times. But if you ever feel like you just need an increase in energy, taking a breath in, coming up, holding. If you ever feel like you need to decrease, even like mentally decrease, pull it down. Take a moment. Breathe in here. Breathe in and out through the nose whenever you're down here. Breathe in. Breathe in and out through the mouth. Kind of feel yourself good? I don't know, for me, I'm like, oh, I feel it. I'm feeling good. And then take it down. Breathe in and out through the nose. Feel yourself kind of calming down, slowing down, kind of getting focused. That's the power of breath. I'm so glad you all came today. this is just, it's neat. Breath controls everything. This is just different. And there's a lot of different methods to breathing. People talking about just breathing through the nose. Whenever you breathe through the nose, Darla asked a really good question when she was asking, do you get more air through the mouth? You do. And so whenever you're getting ready to do something, like every time I see power lifters, whenever they get ready to lift, when they're doing like deadlifts, you'll see them and they'll go, like they're blowing hard, because the more CO2 you push out, the more O2 you can get in. And you want that fast, so that whenever they go down to do that insane lift, they are super saturating their body with oxygen, because those muscles need it. And so that's what you getting yourself like calm down before, like the day before, hours before you do something is really good. And then just before you're going to go perform, you're going to go work out, you want to kind of super saturate yourself. You want to kind of jump. You want to breathe in and out through the mouth, because that's going to open up the entire body. But that's the Wim Hof, which is really neat. Like if you do that, you can notice you can do a lot more push-ups. You can do a lot more exercise. You can jump higher. You can do a lot more. But if you're looking at kind of rebalancing, looking at digestion, you're looking at decreasing like the Alzheimer's, those things, you're looking at the opposite. You're looking at hypoxia, so breathing in and out through the nose, slowing down how fast the O2 is coming in, so that you're kind of doing the opposite. You're super saturating the body with O2, with carbon dioxide for a short amount of time. When that happens, your body goes into a little bit of a minor, I call it a freak out state. And so it goes, oh, we have too much O2. We need more red blood cells. And so it starts pumping in, creating more red blood cells so that it can hold more oxygen. So that whenever you start breathing normal, or you start super saturating your body, you have a lot more red blood cells to carry that oxygen somewhere else. And so you need both the slow and the fast breath. You need to be breathing in and out through your nose. You need to be breathing in and out through your mouth. You need the balance. Some people say one's the right way, the other one is. It doesn't matter. That our bodies can do naturally. We know, like whenever you get excited, you can feel your body kind of pumping up. You feel yourself calming down. The most important thing is how we take that breath. We just need a perfect, basic breath. And that's that 6-sided box. And so working on it, thinking about it. It takes time whenever you're first retraining, 21 days to create a habit. So this is something for the next 21 days. Don't mark it on your calendar. Take a couple of minutes every day. I'm talking 2 minutes, 5 minutes. It doesn't matter, just a short amount of time every day for the next 21 days to think about breathing, pushing in and out the back, pushing out the sides, the top and bottom, reviewing the PowerPoint if you need to. But after that, you'll notice yourself doing it without even thinking. You're going to naturally breathe the way you were born. But you have to break a habit first. So 21 days, you guys. We got it. Any questions? Bravo. Yeah, they're breathing. Our breathing break. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. If there's anything with any of the stretch exercise or anything. But this thing is cool. Like, I just think it's one of those, like.
So you went down one side and back up, and then the other.
And you can, doing a wider stance